The term alcoholic shouldn't be used at someone. It's a term that people say about them when they are ready to face that and label themselves that. It's empowering. But when someone else is screaming it at you that you're an alcoholic, I don't know, it changes the word. It makes it like an insult. It makes it like you've crossed a boundary. Like, well, that's not up to you to scream at me. If Shannon is not saying that about herself, you're allowed to scream you have a drinking problem, but just alcoholic. It's like, oh, well, that's not the direction we should be taking with that. And it's Tamra's anger. It's not coming from concern. It's just flat out anger. I know Tamra talks about it herself on her podcast. I know she's frustrated that Shannon does get away with a lot. I will say people in the audience, feel bad for Shannon. And so they do excuse a lot of things, and it's a whole persona that being a victim has gotten Shannon. Like, Shannon has acted to me like a victim of her own circumstances over the years. And she hasn't been super held accountable, but it's just not going to happen. They're not going to hold her more accountable. This is just how Shannon's being received. And I feel like Tamra resents that like base core issue of it is that Shannon gets away with doing a lot, but the audience doesn't get mad at her. People still feel bad for her. And then Tamra taking this stance, I think she thought that taking the stance of I can't do Trace Amigas, I can't be associated with this when she's just had a DUI and she's not handling it the way she should. I think she thought she would get more applause and more people would join her on that very, very hard stance of Shannon's an alcoholic. But it's not happening like that. And now she's angry at that. Is that like so woo-woo? What am I talking about? I cannot place the anger because it doesn't feel like Tamra's mad at Shannon's drinking. It's like Tamra's mad at just who Shannon is with the audience and overall and the persona. It's very abstract. It's not like, oh, she's mad at this. It's like something else. And also Tamra's drinking is notably a lot. You know, she was wasted at that dive bar thing. And then, like, even at this dinner, she seems like she's already drunk off 2 sips of her drink with her eyes kind of shutting. And she gets a little booze in her and it just, like, sets her off. I don't know. I kind of knew, though, this last round of the Trace Amigas being friends of Vicky, Shannon, Tamra, I knew it wasn't going to last. I could feel it wasn't going to last because I knew Tamra didn't really like Vicky or Shannon. She'd said so many things about Vicky and Shannon that, sometimes I agreed with sometimes. But when they became friends again, I was like, that's shaky ground, So now we get this crazy ass season. Anyway, let's get into episode 5. Yeah, sure. Episode 5. So it is Valentine's Day. We've got Heather having Gina and Jen over in the penthouse that they film at. I think they have room service delivered too. It was a very interesting setup. And then Katie is going to have Shannon over. And Katie calls Valentine's Day her favorite holiday. Of all the holidays, Valentine's Day, this weird made-up holiday that's just, sorry, if you've worked in the restaurant industry, you don't like Valentine's Day. It's a real annoying holiday. Same thing with Mother's Day. Sorry, moms. But anyone who's worked either of those days in a restaurant, you're like, oh, fuck these days. So maybe I don't get it. I was actually technically supposed to be born on Valentine's Day, but I wasn't born until the 27th. My poor mother. Anyhow, before anyone comes over, though, Heather debriefs Terry. Heather goes, God, I got tipsy last night. And Terry goes, tipsy? I'd call it altered. I'm all, oh, this bitch left that golf tournament drunk already pissed and was like, give me all the champs. Terry's like, what happened? I would love to see a wasted Heather. That would be fun. I'd love to see that. But she tells Terry about the paparazzi thing. And I think Terry handles this perfectly. I don't know if this was planned. If it was, he executed it flawlessly. Terry's like, look, I love having my picture taken by paparazzi. So if Katie does have a number, please give it to me so I can call them and tell them to come take my picture. That was brilliant. Lean into it. Terry has never been shy about the fact that he loves attention. He's like, yeah, I want all of it. So that was kind of the way to handle it. Okay, so Shannon goes over to Katie's. Katie is, in my opinion, it feels a little calculated. She's trying real hard to be Shannon's friend. It's kind of like she came in knowing, okay, so this person is good with the fans, this person is not good with the fans, and or maybe she's just trying to make friends. But there's an inauthenticity to it. I can speak just a little bit. No, maybe I don't know. Like she goes, I've been hearing that Shannon's a big Debbie Downer, but I actually really enjoy Shannon. I really enjoy her. Bet you do. I guess I don't hate her for it. I don't know. Maybe people just really like Shannon. But just everything about Katie feels very calculated to me. And Gina and Emily have said on podcasts, I can't remember which podcast, but they've both said something like Katie's credibility starts to become questionable as the season goes on, so yeah, I'm thinking everything feels a little calculated, right? Shannon's really upset because Tamra has been talking bad about her to everyone. And honestly, she has. She absolutely has. Tamra thought this season was going to be everyone hates Shannon because Shannon got a DUI and isn't owning up to it. Except Shannon has been owning up to it. She just isn't doing it exactly the way Tamra wanted her to. And so now it's like Tamra has left herself out of something. She made a hard stance. She hasn't been reaching out to Shannon to check on her. She's just like, well, she's not saying she's an alcoholic, so I'm not going to talk to her anymore. But then people are still friends with Shannon, and it's like Tamra's kind of left out of that. She did it to herself. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. Tamra, though, meanwhile, meets Emily to do like a beach walk thing. When they say Jen went to Vegas, Emily brings up Jen going to Vegas. Does she mean again after the time last episode we saw, or is she just talking about that? Because then we're getting a little excessive if it is back to back, like from one week to the next. But Tamra is kind of playing both sides. Not kind of, she is. And she makes some joke and she goes, she can't sit at home and look at her empty bank account. Ha 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 ha. But then also when Tamra's hanging out with Jen and Alexis, forgot her name for a second, Alexis, she's like, oh, you missed it. Jen got reamed. And yeah, Jen's like, yeah, Gina's like, pay your bills. And Tamra's like, yeah, and you're like, don't you think I wish I could if I would or whatever? So she just really plays all sides of offense or of a fight. And then even still, Tamra goes, oh yeah, Shannon and I were actually good at the golf event. We were just like both looking at each other like, what's this Katie girl doing? I don't know if you were. I know Shannon was probably excited for Heather to have a thing because it's kind of the thing that happens all the time. But Tamra was also just like indulging Katie in every way at the dive bar. Like she was just like, oh, I knew she called paparazzi. You have receipts and this whole thing. And then now she's like, oh yeah, Shannon and I were looking at each other like, what's this Katie girl doing? I was like, no, you weren't. That's not what was happening at all. Gina and Jen, they go over to Heather's. They have to kind of like kick out Terry. They're like, it's Galentine's, Terry. But Heather is upset that Gina let the paparazzi thing get as far as it did. Now, I think that is fair because Heather gets down to business with her. She's like, when did you meet her? Then when did you find out about the paparazzi thing? And both answers are a couple months ago. And so for Heather, she's like, let me put it this way. If someone told me about a friend of mine and said, I've heard that they called paparazzi. Well, first of all, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, they probably did. Good for them. I don't care. But if that was being said about a friend who would be offended, I would either tell them you better go tell her, or that's not true, I promise you, or whatever. I would have their back to some extent. So either Gina thinks there is a morsel of truth to it or is hoping it does come out because she didn't straight up tell her not to say it. Gina will kind of, we'll get into her conversation with Katie. She says more stuff. So I get Heather being like, if you've known about this for months, why wouldn't you just shut it down? It means that Gina believes it. It means that Gina wanted it to get out. It means that's what it means, right? Meanwhile, Katie, who's got Shannon over, she's saying that Gina hung her out to dry. She says in her confessional, Katie says, I think Gina regrets telling me to say it. So Gina may be a little more of a culprit than she's letting on. It may not be as in, and actually, they showed the flashback of Emma, what's her name? God, Katie telling Gina and Emily. And she's telling it to Gina, the whole paparazzi thing, as if it's the first time Gina's hearing it. And Gina doesn't say, okay, that's probably not true or anything like that. She just says, ooh, she's going to get herself in trouble. So, Gina? Okay, wait a second here. Heather forgives Gina because Gina's like, I fucked up. I'm sorry. But I think she's trying to distance her. When I was coming into this episode, I was like kind of annoyed with Katie because she was like, when they get coffee, she says she felt abandoned by her, felt like you could have been neutral, but you totally took Heather's side. And Gina's like, well, I did have your back. I told you not to say anything or not to bring it up. And Katie says, yeah, when we first talked about it, but then it was too far gone. And I was like, but you did that, Katie. You made it too far gone. But now I'm thinking Gina might have been a little less like, don't say anything to anybody than it appears. Because we even have proof and evidence of her saying, oh, she's going to get herself in trouble. Or maybe she meant Katie would. Does it feel like they're leaving something out? Maybe that's what it is. It feels like they're leaving something out of not just this conversation, but also like the Shannon Tamra thing, the Jen Gina. It just feels like there's something with every little story that I'm not getting. It's not quite connecting. And they're leaving it to be just like hearsay. I don't know. I think that's the issue with this season so far is it's like, what are we not getting? I'm very torn on this because I don't want to believe that Gina would be that messy, but maybe Gina wasn't. Okay. TBD. We'll put a pin in that. We'll put a pin in it because I don't know if I want to take a full stance of Gina had full responsibility here because it does feel like Katie really came in calculated and was maybe just looking for, I don't know, from Gina. Because if she was coming into the season and she had this information, it would be like if Gina was being a good friend would be like, I wouldn't do that because I don't even think that's real. I don't even think that that's a real story. Like, I doubt it. I don't know who your friend is, but like, how does he know? But she didn't do that. And she knew they were about to start filming. And then she let Katie come into it. And then she lets it get brought up with her at her lunch with Emily. And then Emily takes it to Tamra and then here we go. Because Gina wasn't like, no, don't talk about that or anything when Katie brought it up on camera. Ooh, Gina, I think you were a little bit more guilty. I might delete that thread that I wrote. Because I was like, what was Katie expecting of Gina? When Gina told her not to say anything, she says something. And then she went, okay, put a pin in it. Shannon has lunch with her dad, Gene the Machine, which is hilarious. She comes from a fun family. She's like, I can't help it. Okay. Yeah. My parents had cocktail hour. We were fun. We had a good time. But she brings up the lawsuit. She says, he loaned me money. And her dad was like, did he? But she says, look, as far as I know, I thought it was a gift. And that's just even more sad. Here's the problem. And here's what I know is happening for John. Maybe he did loan her this money. No, it's not maybe. He did loan her this money. She admits it. But then Shannon had been talking about how she was paying for everything and she was fronting all the bills. And John, his ego got fucked up. So, like Emily says on Watch What Happens Live, it's like he waited for the season to start filming, boom, hit her with the lawsuit so she'd have to talk about it on camera so that he could get his name cleared, which is this whole thing. Because John Jansen thinks that Shannon has ruined his reputation by saying all these lies about him. But even Shannon's dad, when she said he's suing me for this money, he's like, but you paid for everything in the beginning. And she's like, yeah, here's the thing though, Shannon, why, if you knew he gave you this money, why would you bring up finances at all? If I know someone has given me that money, I'm not going to even bring up the things I've paid for. Unless I felt like mine was more, I don't think so though. So that's the only thing I'm like, Shannon, why were you even talking about paying for stuff when you knew that he gave you this money? Her dad says though, you have to fight it. I don't care what it costs. You go for the jugular. Now, I'm curious your guys' thoughts on that. How do we feel about that? Because if she has proof, or if he has proof that money was loaned to her, she could get on a payment plan, pay him back, and shut him up. But could she fight it? Is that something that's like, this was a gift? It was intended to be a gift, and now is there something there? I don't know. It seems kind of ridiculous for him to sue her. Like, if she's going to be willing to pay and he's like, nope, we're going to court or whatever the hell. That's ridiculous. So what are your guys' takes on that? I don't know the law enough. Do you remember the show The Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan? I freaking loved that show. Cesar Millan would transform those dogs. I would be bawling. So if there's one thing he knows, it's dogs, right? Well, I was very excited to find out what Cesar Millan feeds his own dogs. It's Nature's Blend from Dr. Marty Pets. He relies on this freeze-dried raw food to keep his own pack healthy, and they sent me a sample of the dog food and the cat food. So I gave the cat food to my girls and the dog food over to my sister. She has 3 dogs. Now, her dogs can tend to get skin issues, one dog in particular, like hot spots and things. She said since feeding her dogs Dr. Marty's, she's noticed an improvement. I have noticed an improvement in my girls' coats, too. And my girls seem to be more excited to eat this food than the old dry food, so I can't wait for your dog to try it. For a limited time, enjoy up to 54% off Nature's Blend, and you get a free bag of Cod Crispies, which is their best-selling wild-caught cod skin treats. Just go to drmartypets.com/she-speaks. Every order is backed with a 90-day money-back promise. So if you want to support your dog's digestion, soft coat, and healthy lifespan, go to drmartypets.com/she-speaks today. Your dog will thank you. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Something I'm always in the market for: home essentials, home decor. I'm not much of a shopper in general, but online home decor shopping, yeah, I'm there. You know who does it real good? Jenny Kane Home. They're a California brand, so they've got that vibe to the home essentials. It's like, what would Jennifer Aniston have in her Malibu house? Jenny Kane's thing is the art of simplicity, that minimalist, effortless type of vibe. So from throw pillows and throw blankets to big pieces like sofas to iconic beds, you're going to get pieces that can be in your house forever. They never go out of style. Everything's made very intentionally. And oh my God, they have the most incredible scented glass candles. And I really need to up my tablescape because I don't have really much of a game going anyway. So I get to up that game, and I'm looking at the Pacific Dinnerware collection. It's really durable and it looks very luxe. So when I have people over, I look like a grown adult. And they have an incredible rewards program. You can earn up to 10% back with every purchase. And joining is completely free. Jenny Kane Home has everything you need to transform your space into a luxurious sanctuary. Our listeners get 15% off your first order when you use code SHESPEAKS at checkout. That's 15% off your first order at JENNIKAYNE.com. Promo code SHESPEAKS. Curate your dream home with Jenny Kane. Tamra goes over to Alexis's house. My friend pointed out something. Why have we not heard anything about Alexis's children? Why have we not heard anything else about Alexis besides John Jansen? And here we are filming in her house. I'm sure, what's his face? Jim. Ugh. I'm sure Jim said, no, I'm not signing off on them being on camera. I'm sure. And that's probably why she is part-time, because she couldn't show the kids. She couldn't show everything. Also, probably why she's part-time is that Shannon made sure that she wasn't invited to everything, maybe? No, she still gets invited to most stuff. But yeah, all we've gotten is weird John Jansen defending. We have that's her entire personality now. So I was looking forward to Alexis coming back and getting some insight into her having a trans son, I believe. But we are not getting anything like that. It's just this delusional John Jansen support where she looks like brainwashed almost. And she's really upset she wasn't invited to the golf thing. And I'm telling you, these confessionals, they are so rehearsed. And my God, this annoying confessional, like, who does she think she is? You want this one here. And she does a shimmy and she's like, happy-go-lucky Lexi, that's me. You want this person here. I'm like, okay, I get it. You are flopping, in my opinion. But now they get on to the Shannon topic, and Alexis takes the angle of, I know you, Tamra, have had to go through it with her. And Tamra says, alcoholics abuse the ones they're closest to. Her life has been upside down for 10 years since I've known her. Now, obviously, this opens up a very easy to put together compilation of Shannon having freakouts over the years. It's easy to put it together because there were a lot. And it was nice to be reminded, like, oh, yeah, and it's true, though. Shannon has been always like a mess since we've known her, which is what makes her great TV, which is, I think, what makes people feel bad for her, which is, I think. So this is legit. But still, again, calling her an alcoholic when she herself has not called herself that, I don't love it. I don't love it. Tamra's thing is that she's always been there for Shannon, but Shannon's never been there for her. That I'll give her. That I will give you. Because Shannon is very selfish that way. It's all everything, everyone who's friends with Shannon, everything revolves around Shannon. I do see that pattern. Even in early seasons when the David cheating thing happened, I remember a friend of Shannon's is filming, not like a full-time or anything, and there's just an interaction between the two of them that was like, oh, so Shannon's like this with everybody. Shannon is like the one that gets all the attention in the dynamic because she's just not very selfless, if you will. Except she will do things, whatever. I don't need to argue it. Shannon's not a horrible person, even though Tamra has called her that. And so Tamra is like, somebody at that level needs rehab. And Alexis says, I thought she went to rehab. No, she went to therapy for her to learn about how to not date the wrong guys. She's blaming him for her drinking. Shannon is blaming him for her drinking. I don't like Tamra's delivery, but I do think there is truth to Shannon has always blamed other people for her drinking. And if you go back to maybe not her first season as much, but if you keep watching the show, that is Shannon's story, is the drinking and her arguing that it's not a problem. And it's like, it's very Dorinda, except Dorinda was just like psycho mean. But there's nothing wrong with going to therapy. I really think Shannon was just, she's afraid to take it down to that very simple place of alcohol is not serving me at all. Like, honestly, the point of having 2 drinks, what's the point? What's the point? I used to always say that. And that is why I don't drink anymore. But like, so you get a little buzzed. So who wants that? Then you got a little headache after. Ugh. But whatever. Not whatever. It's a pretty big deal. This is a big deal. The DUI was bad. The DUI was bad, and it did feel like she just got a little slap on the wrist, and it was very bad. But Tamra's approach is just weird. And so Tamra's like, she lies about everything. She told us that she paid for everything with John, but then she was like, oh, I borrowed $65K for a facelift. Alexis, $75K. And I will bring the receipts. She's like, I'm fucking ready. This is basically why I'm on the show. So Shannon making sure I don't get invited to things is not going to work because I need to be showing these receipts because I told John I would. Okay? John has coached me. Literally, it's so clear. It's so clear he's coached her for camera, right? Alexis's confessional is so embarrassing. She goes, I don't want to go to battle, but if you're going to lie about the man I'm going to marry, okay, and ruin our reputation together, she's going to need another facelift to pick her jaw up off the floor when I provide the proof. What? Did that one get away from you? It's like when she said, oh no, Shannon storm somewhere else, get a new tornado. That one was bad. This is like right up there. She's going to need a new facelift to pick her jaw up off the floor when I provide the proof. Okay. At Gina's fancy dinner, Tamra shows up wearing the same outfit that Gina's already done her interviews in, which is amazing. She walks in, she's like, I literally already filmed my goddamn interviews in this outfit. Heather dictates the seating arrangement, and honestly, it is savage that Gina did not do seating, but Heather's like, don't worry, I'm not about to do that to myself. So Tamra is next to Katie. Right away, Tamra brings up the paparazzi thing to Katie, and Katie tells her how she feels like she was just left out on her own, and you can tell Tamra's indulging it, but not just indulging it, she's clocking it. She's banking it for the drama she's going to start later. And then next week's preview, you see her getting Katie all riled up like, oh, she set you up. I'm like, yep, she's just banking these things for the drama later. Like, here we go. Alexis is doing the most because Emily shows them her new ring and Alexis is like, what? What? You didn't tell me. Oh, it's like, it's not an engagement ring. It's just another fucking ring. What do you chill out? Anyone else notice that Jen and Katie have very similar hairstyles? It's like the updo with the 2 things in the front and the poof. I wish I could have my hair like that as well. I cannot do it to save my life, but yeah, it looks good. But it was very similar. All right, Alexis and Katie finally lock eyes. They've been seated across from each other, and Alexis was ready. Katie goes, how are you? She goes, heard you had a golf event. What was that thought process? Because only one person was left out. Well, Katie had to own it. She's like, I just wanted Shannon to have a day that wasn't so stressful for her. And then Tamra goes, but you guys have to understand where Alexis is coming from. She's kind of feeling like Shannon's trying to get Alexis out of here. Well, she is. And can you blame her? I feel like they kind of should have leaned into this being a very okay chess game. Or not maybe chess game, battle, war, I don't know. But like Shannon's going to make a move to try to get Alexis out and Alexis is going to have to try to figure out how to stay in. Like that to me that makes sense because it's Shannon's ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend who also was married to the guy that sued her. So yeah, to me, it's fair that Shannon would try to get people not to have Alexis invited to things. And it's up to Alexis to make it happen for herself. But it's like, I don't think she needs to be coddled here. This bitch had to know what she was walking into, Alexis, right? She had to know she was walking in and going on an uphill climb to get to full time. You know what I mean? Alexis is like, it's just not fair. It's just not fair. I'm like, because Johnny J tasked me with coming on this season and clearing his name. It's just not fair. Okay, whatever. Enter Shannon and Vicky. Tamra, under her breath, goes, "Oh God, the Wicked Witch of the West," about Vicky. But then later, when she goes up to Vicky and is like, "I just wanted to let you know, it's never been about you. It was about Shannon." I'm like, girl, you just like you don't know yourself. So Vicky and Shannon order drinks. And Vicky is like totally validating the decision. Like, well, you don't have a problem. You're allowed to drink. You're allowed to have a drink. And Tamra goes, "Oh, yeah, an alcoholic should drink." The whole room is stunned. What the fuck do we do with that, Tamra? They're like, what? And Vicky goes, "She can have alcohol. She just can't get behind a wheel." Tamra, do you truly think she doesn't have a drinking problem? Shannon's right there, Tamra. She's right there. Shannon goes, "You've been on this path for 10 years with me." Now, LOL, okay? Because it's not something that Tamra's been on. You've given people reason to question it. And it's not just Tamra, okay? Excuse me, Gina and Emily were also part of that last season, specifically. But everyone has said this. Everyone, Shannon. And this is where I'm like, see, this is the victim stuff that starts to drive people crazy, or me crazy. Shannon says, she said this line before, and we'll hear it again. She goes, "Let me tell you something. Every freaking day I think about what happened." Tamra says, "Is that after you have a drink?" Listen, now it's so bad. Emily's the first one to step in. And it was a bold move because she's like, "I think she's changed and you're probably going to get mad at me." And Tamra has to go, "No, I'm not going to get mad at you. I hope she has." No, you don't. I don't think you have. I don't think you hope she has changed. At this point, I think you just need her to say, "I'm an alcoholic and not drink anymore," in order to even like her. It's like this, anything that Shannon's doing that's not that is an offense to Tamra, but it's about something else. So then Gina steps in and Gina's like, "I understand," to Tamra, "I understand why it's hard for you, but I don't think this is the way to get where you're looking for." Okay. Then Gina's confessional. Now, I forgot to mention this confessional earlier when I was talking about the Katie Gina stuff. But the Katie Gina scene when they get lunch was the first time we get this confessional. And it was a literal jump back, whoa, when they cut over that thing. What is it? It's like she's got this big old, maybe that's her real hair, but she's got this wig looking helmet, lopsided 60s thing with I believe a denim I don't know what you call those, where it's like the bra's all cut out or something. So I don't know, but it's like it fits her kind of weird. It's like spacey, like space-y, whatever. Meanwhile, it looks like Shannon and Gina had the same idea going in because Shannon's executing a retro look, but she fucking nailed it. She has got a red tweed power suit with retro hair done right and makeup for days. And I'm not kidding. Like she was serving cunt 100%. Shannon served cunt in that confessional look. Gina, on the other hand, so Gina in this confessional look, she's making a lot of sense, but honestly, it's real hard to focus on anything but the damn wig or whatever is on her head. It's like, I'm sure she's saying something good, but I'm like, what? You need better gays in your team. You need a better gay to be like, this isn't the move. This isn't. It's like they had the same idea, Shannon and Gina, a similar idea, but only one executed it. And clearly it was Shannon. I am prepping for the live show. I got to be feeling and looking my best. So that means I need to be eating better than I tend to eat. So I am making sure my Hungry Root orders are in and on time. Hungry Root sends you fresh, high-quality groceries that is so customizable. When you start Hungry Root, you take a little quiz, they figure out your goals, what kind of food you like, etc. And then every week, they prep a cart for you based on those preferences. But I personally just like to clear the cart and go shopping in the aisles. They have the best brands of snacks, healthy snacks, or like healthy alternative snacks to foods that I would be gorging on. They also have supplements, they have vitamins, and they have full meals. So sometimes when I feel like once in a while I should maybe cook myself a meal, I will go through and I'll look up meals that are done in 5 minutes or less or required no appliances. But you can do anything you want. You can search based on maybe you like to cook. Maybe you hate this type of food. They'll never show it to you. But every week it's delivered, fresh, packed very well, because not all companies pack them well. And the thing is that everything from Hungry Root follows the same simple standard. It's got to taste good, it's got to be quick to make, and contain whole, trusted ingredient. Right now, Hungry Root is offering She's Speaking with Emily Hanks listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/shespeaks to get 40% off your first delivery and get your free veggies. That's hungryroot.com/shespeaks. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you. Shannon claps back at Tamra going, let's talk about your drinking. You were dead weight at Nobu. And Tamra starts screaming in the highest pitch. So what? Sorry, for the ears, for the listeners. I'm so sorry. So what? You've had people sit in a car with you. So what? And then Tamra says there's a big difference between drinking and having a good time and being an alcoholic. And that's where I'm like, yeah, you don't yell that at someone. It's just not a good look. You don't yell that at a person. You don't yell like, it's not, I don't know. It's not working. It's not working for me here. Gina boldly asks Vicky how she feels about all this. And Vicky can't wait to be like, it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting. The whole fighting thing. And Emily's like, Vicky, you do it too. You commented perfect show for you when Tamra announced that she was doing Traitors. And Vicky goes, it was because what happened? She traded. She traded. She did not betrayed. She traded. But God, Tamra takes this and is like, this will definitely be something that they use in a meme, because Bravo and Peacock together, she goes, I'm not a traitor. I'm a faithful. And I just decided to vote you two out. Especially doesn't look at the camera and go, watch Traitors on Peacock. Because, like, what the fuck? Tamra then goes into why she didn't feel comfortable doing the show. And she says Shannon needed to go to rehab. And Vicky says she did. And right there at the table, she went to therapy to figure out why she dates bad guys. Okay, now though, Shannon stands up and has that shaky voice. And this has to stop. I've had 2 conversations with you on the telephone. And Tamra's screaming, you are drunk every time. What time? And what conversation? What are we talking about here? And Shannon, I couldn't drink in my program. You need to stop. Tamra goes nuts here. Lie. That's all you fucking do. Like, she hits the table. My God. The anger. Tamra goes, I need to stop what? Uncovering your bullshit? How you paid for everything with John, but you owe him $70,000? Alexis, 75. All right, here we go, Alexis. She's like, I'm up. Here we go. And she says, a facelift and a loan. And Shannon, I'm so sorry. Brilliant performance here. She goes, we know you've been coached, Alexis. Alexis says, you want the receipts? Oh, he's given them all to you. She does such a good job. Like the line, because he's given them all to you. Oh, yes. Sorry, Shannon. I know this is terrible, but so good. So Alexis shows them the fucking receipts, which is so crazy to me that she is sitting there showing them this. And Emily makes a joke. She goes, oh, so she's a liar, Spanx on fire. Now, I know she was just being funny, maybe, but it was good. It was good. I know it's going to hurt Shannon's feelings, but that was a good one. The Spanx, throwing the Spanx in there. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. But do you really think that Shannon's lying? What is she lying about? What's Shannon lying about? I love, this is where, okay, I love Jen and Katie in the middle of all this. Jen goes, I didn't even know she had a facelift. And Katie goes, me neither. She looks great. They're like, she does. Shannon and, not Shannon, Heather and Emily have one similar too, like towards the end of the scene. Where they both like, I mean, honestly, she does. She looks great. She's never looked better in the middle of all this yelling. Because you have to own that. Like, she does. She looks fucking great. Like, none of us can take that from her. Alexis and Vicky then go back and forth about John. And Alexis says, I have all sorts of evidence. And these women, she says in her confessional, these women formed an opinion of John based on Shannon drunk dialing them and giving them lies and whatever. But I'm like, we also saw him. They also saw him do stuff. You know, it's not like it's just from Shannon's words. Yes, maybe a lot of it is, but like the Gina example where he was like, fuck Gina. I don't, looking at him sideways for sure. But of course, Alexis is in the brainwash place. And Vicky goes, look, John is not the victim. And this makes Alexis go, oh, now you're putting words on him. It's done. He's not going to be spoken about like that. He's never acted like a victim. Suing someone, he's acting like he's literally a victim of that. So Jen goes to Shannon to check on Shannon. And right away, Shannon says, it really hurts my feelings that none of you came out to check on me. That line makes me think that a producer had to be like, okay, can one of you, Jen, can you go check on her? Because she's still just sitting in that little area right by the host stand. Anybody? No? Thanks. Somebody. Jen's like, well, Jen is not very comforting. She's like, I feel bad, but they are showing receipts and they do total $75,000. Sorry, Shannon goes, okay, it was $65,000. Okay, by the way, did Shannon, okay, sorry, this is such a side note. Shannon's lips look different. Did she get a lip flip? Or is that just more filler just at the top of the lip? And I know it's like liner. And also, Tamra has the same type of look in one of her confessionals with the lips. I'm like, is it a flip or is it really just the way the liner is being drawn on? Is it a new way to do the filler on the top? Lip flip, for those who don't know, that's maybe not even the right term for it. But they shorten the area between your nose and your lips. So that flips your lips up more. Does that make sense? So, but I can't tell. Anyway, Shannon in her red power suit in that confessional with her bombshell hair, she goes, oh, John, what I could say, what I could release. Oh, so good. What I could release. I'm telling you, she served cunt hardcore. I'm afraid to say it, but she did. She served it right up. It looked amazing doing it. Okay. She says to Jen, you have no idea the story about John Jansen. He's a fucking monster. But then the producer in her confessional is like, do you want to elaborate on why he's a monster? And then she realizes, fuck, I said that. Well, probably not, because he's going to sue me for saying that now. But I really do want her to talk about it. I would like to know what she's sitting on. We're going to figure it out. John Jansen's not, he looks crazy. So no. Heather has a moment with Alexis where she's like, look, I'm not saying you don't have valid points, but maybe we just take it down a notch so that maybe you could be friends with Shannon. And Alexis goes, the thing is, I do want to get to know her and like her. Emily says, bitch, what? She goes, you cannot say that and bring receipts at the same time. And dude, Tamra goes, why can't she? She goes, crazy. Because if you're trying to be someone's friend, you don't also have receipts like that. Period. Now Alexis is standing up. If you're going to lie about my guy, guess what? I have more receipts. And then she leaves. I'm like, oh, perfect. All right. And she can't even stay for the drama. All right, whatever. Emily stands on it. She's like, I'm so sorry, but no, you cannot claim to want to be my friend and bring receipts like that. Period. End of story. Okay, thanks. Vicky then tries to like announce her departure and lecture them on how this is toxic. We are We have to be kind, especially when we're women of faith. And I know you believe in Jesus Christ. She's a believer. We all are. We don't treat people this way. I cannot stand this side of Vicky. I cannot stand it. Why do you need to point? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Tamra chimes in. She's like, I supported Shannon for 10 years. And then she screams, she needs rehab. So then they all just leave and it's crazy. So this is just the beginning. I'm hearing this just gets crazier and crazier. And I'm sure it does because John and Shannon had a dark energy to their relationship. Clearly, it was very secretive. You couldn't see everything. And I always bring up that weird Bronwyn birthday, whatever that event was, where she's wasted doing the tequila with Kelly, like sneaking it and just drunk. And the whole dynamic was dark. So I'm sure they've got stories on each other. It's not just one-sided. And so this, I'm sure, will get ugly. Okay. That wraps us up. Guys, love ya. Mean it. I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to She's Speaking with Emily Hanks. This show is produced, hosted, and edited by me, Emily, and brought to you in partnership with Cloud 10 Media. If you are looking for bonus content, check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. To show some support, you can hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Another free way to support the pod, please rate and/or review on whatever platform you listen. It's free, and it helps the algorithm or something. You could also head to buymeacoffee.com/shespeaks and buy me a coffee or two. Make sure you're following me on all social medias. I am She's Speaking with Emily Hanks across all platforms: Threads, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. That's it. Thank you guys. See you soon.